This is what the author, Oda-sensei, has said. The story of One Piece will end when we understand what the One Piece is. Luffy's dream is to find this and become the Pirate King, but what he truly desires lies beyond that. It's the end goal of his dream. It's likely that the current system of the world government is what's hindering this realization. In the current One Piece world, the highest apparent authority figures are the 5 elders, who are at the top among the celestial dragons, considered gods. As long as they control the world government, their word is absolute, and people cannot oppose them. This is perfectly captured by Enel's statement, "Fear is God." As Kuma said in chapter 1102, it's Luffy who might be able to save the world from this reign of terror. Interestingly, in the Sabaody Archipelago arc, a narration announced the complete breakdown of the Straw Hat crew, but hidden behind this was Kuma's feelings for Luffy. Though it seems contradictory for Luffy, aspiring to be the Pirate King to save the world, it's undoubtedly the pirates who have the power to change the world. Luffy once said about his ultimate dream, "Maybe I can do it once I become the Pirate King." From this, I believe his dream involves something that can be achieved by involving people from all over the world. In fact, Gold D. Roger became the Pirate King, and his message changed the era. The story of One Piece began with Roger's world-changing words. So I think it will end with a message from Luffy, who has become the Pirate King. In contrast, this channel is small-scale, so I'm aware that it lacks persuasiveness. But I'm touched that many viewers watched the video until the end, and I'm writing this script with that same emotion. In this video, I'll also mention the subtle nuances and wordplays of Oda-sensei that don't translate, so I'd be happy if you watch it until the end. I also received a comment like this. "Thank you for your concern. I live in Tokyo, so the damage was minimal, but Japan was hit by a major earthquake on New Year's Day. It's a natural disaster, so all we can do is prepare within our capabilities. However, in the world of One Piece, similar incidents are caused by a certain organization. Let's take a closer look at the culprits behind the politics of fear in the world of One Piece." In chapter 1084, Imu finally appeared before Cobra and spoke, but his true face remains hidden. Considering how well his true face has been concealed, it can be assumed that there is some significant impact behind it. Is he identical to a character we already know, incredibly unattractive, or perhaps a newcomer? The most common theory I've heard is that Imu is actually a child. While this is a plausible theory, reading the Japanese version reveals that at least his thoughts are already mature. For some reason, I often receive messages on Instagram assuming Imu speaks like a child. However, in the original version, he doesn't speak in a childish manner. His tone is dignified, similar to the 5 elders. Let's take a look at this scene with Bonnie. Can you notice any difference? When Bonnie was still 9 years old, her distortion future was written in hiragana, but now it's in kanji. This also applies to Momonosuke's lines, where hiragana is often used for words that should be in kanji. Oda-sensei uses kana and kanji according to the character's level of understanding. Regarding Imu's dialogue, even concepts that would be difficult for children to understand are all written in kanji. Furthermore, Japanese is a language where the way of speaking often changes based on the speaker's personality or the situation. When Bonnie faces Kuma, she switches from her usual brash female tone to a childlike manner of speaking. Momonosuke, being a braggart, deliberately speaks in a mature, adult-like manner, but his speech still intermittently reveals a childlike quality. In contrast, there is no trace of childishness in Imu's statements, suggesting that at least his thinking is completely mature. Just as I struggled with learning English as a native Japanese speaker, translation between Japanese and English is challenging. There are many mistranslations, especially regarding subtle nuances and speech styles. Therefore, this channel has videos explaining such intricate nuances of Japanese. If you're interested, please have a look. Additionally, there's another important aspect about Emu. As Ivankov speculated, it's highly likely that Emu has been alive since 800 years ago, having undergone the age-halting operation of the Ope Ope no Mi. Incidentally, Blackbeard's comments about the Ope Ope no Mi's abilities were modified in the volume 107. This word in Japanese means agelessness, while this one means immortality. The word immortality has been officially removed. This implies that the Ope Ope no Mi's ultimate surgery can halt physical aging but does not grant immortality. Therefore, if Emu's heart is pierced like any other human, he would die. From this, I believe there must have been a clear reason why Emu had to become ageless. If the world government had the Ope Ope no Mi and knew of its ability to grant agelessness, not only Emu but also the other 18 kings would have tried to attain ageless bodies. They could have made a slave eat the fruit and perform the surgery, among other methods. So, why was only Emu able to undergo the age-halting surgery? I think there's a hint in the personal relationship between Lily and Emu. Emu was seen gazing at a photo of Vivi, a descendant of the Nefertari family. Emu, who should be a secret from everyone, appeared in front of Cobra. Moreover, in the official version, Emu said this about Vivi. This suggests that Emu desires Vivi personally, rather than as a stance of the world government. This next part is purely my speculation, so please take it with a grain of salt. Frankly, there's a possibility that Emu suffered from an incurable disease that progressed over time, similar to sapphire scales. Lily, a friend of Emu who also had connections with people of the D clan, including a user of the Ope Ope no Mi, asked this user to cure Emu's illness. The individual with the ability, unaware of the cost, performed the agelessness surgery on Emu and, as a result, died. By the way, the word emu also exists as a verb in Japanese. This verb means to abhor and avoid something as an ill omen or as tainted. Law has a hidden name, which in Japanese is called imena. Yes, this is a variation of the verb emu. Perhaps the Trafalgar family, whose ancestors may have died performing the agelessness surgery on Emu, incorporated this system into his name to express their aversion and avoidance of anything related to Emu. Consequently, Emu was the only one among the 19 kings of the kingdoms who could continue to live for 800 years. By the way, I have a friend who lacks a sense of direction, and he thought that the 5 elders might be among the original 20 kings. In this cover story, their faces are intentionally hidden, and considering that Saturn looked almost unchanged during the God Valley incident 38 years ago, there's a good chance they underwent an agelessness surgery. However, I don't think they were among the first 20 kings. In chapter 1037, Shepherd Jew Peter said, "So why has the world government given another name to that devil fruit?" At this point, the subject is the world government. Even though he is part of the world government and at the top, he makes it someone else's issue by making the subject world government instead of we. So they could just be the descendants of 20 kings from 800 years ago. A brief letter passed down through the Alabasta royal family revealed that Lily was part of the D clan. This means that, despite being one of the 20 royal families that founded the world government, she also belonged to their enemy, the D clan. Emu confirmed that the D were enemies of the world government. In fact, Dr. Clover theorized that 800 years ago there were enemies from 20 countries. If the Nefertari family, rulers of Alabasta, originally bore the D name, it's unlikely they would have sided with the 19 kingdoms that formed the current world government from the beginning. This suggests that Lily personally had significant ties with a great kingdom and adopted the D name to pass down that intent to the Alabasta royal family. I believe there are crucial hints about the D clan hidden in this chapter. In chapter 1085, we see a brief flashback of Sabo as a child. Sabo recalls telling Luffy and Ace that it was strange they both had the D in their names. Ace responds, "I can give it to you too, Sabo. I'll call you Sa-D-Bo." I believe this flashback implies the essence of the D. The D might be a name that can be easily given to others, as in the case of Sa-D-Bo. In other words, the D family could just be a name and not an actual blood relation. Even though Ace, Sabo, and Luffy aren't related, they became brothers. Similarly, the enemies of the world government, those who sided with the ancient kingdom, might have carved the D in their names to signify that they are brothers, even if not bound by blood. The Kazuki clan and the Mink tribe also consider each other brothers, but they don't seem to be actually related by blood. Their bond might be similar to that of the D Whitebeard, heard the true story of the D from Roger. During the war at the summit, just before dying, Whitebeard said, "Those who carry the will of Roger, and those who now have inherited the will of Ace." Even if the bloodline has died out, their flame has not gone out. This is how, from antiquity, the will has been continually handed down. In simpler terms, there's a big chance that Lily declared herself a D as a friend of the ancient kingdom. This hypothesis makes a lot of sense to me personally, because Bibi experienced a similar situation. She shared the crossmark with the Straw Hat crew as a sign of brotherhood. I have so far thought that the name D did not exist more than 900 years ago, and it's more likely that it's a system the ancient kingdom created as a symbol of friendship. This is because the story of One Piece emphasizes love and friendship rather than blood ties. Thus, it's reasonable to think that the term D does not refer to a bloodline connection, but rather to a group of people who share a certain will. Additionally, according to Emu, the name D has appeared in various places in recent years. The term kinnen is used, which could translate as recently. There is no precise definition of the time period this term covers, but it is usually used to indicate a span of time ranging from the last 5 to 10 years. So perhaps what Emu is trying to say is that the name D has begun to stand out after the great age of piracy, following Roger's execution. This implies that Roger would have intentionally kick-started the era of pirates to spread the name D. So this means that Usopp's prediction that Roger intentionally started the pirate era was spot on. Thanks to the Great Pirate Era, the overall strength of pirates has significantly increased. It's possible that the roles of the 4 emperors and the 7 warlords of the sea in maintaining the world's balance were established after the beginning of the Great Pirate Era. In fact, Luffy's rapid growth in strength over just 2 years, enough to pose a threat to the world government, can be attributed to the challenges he faced against the 7 warlords, the 4 emperors, and his rivals from the worst generation. Essentially, Roger's creation of the Great Pirate Era can be seen as preparing an environment that allows a pirate bearing the name D to become strong enough to defeat the world government. Moreover, Roger introduced another significant objective for pirates: the great treasure One Piece. Many pirates now seek One Piece, but to reach Laugh Tale, they must first collect the road poneglyphs. I think that Roger deliberately left One Piece on the final island and orchestrated for the next generation of pirates to decipher the poneglyphs. This is because, without deciphering these characters, even if one finds the One Piece, Roger's true intention would not be fulfilled. Additionally, I think there's another major reason why Roger entrusted the task of changing the world to the next generation of pirates. It's because, as we see with rulers like Cobra and Neptune, who have a certain level of fame, they are unable to change the world. As Miosgard intended, they have nations to bear on their shoulders. Pirates, however, don't have to worry about this. They can freely challenge the world government. The Pirate King, who gains attention from all over the world, is therefore the ideal person to fulfill the role of conveying the truth about the world. Roger probably also anticipated that someone from the D clan, like himself, would emerge among these pirates. A statement I find particularly interesting about the D clan comes from Doflamingo. He said, "The D clan, smoldering at the bottom of history, will appear at some point, somewhere." This statement was made despite his defeat at the hands of Monkey D. Luffy. This suggests that Doflamingo knows the true meaning of D and that members of the D clan who understand this true meaning might be hiding somewhere in the world. I have a theory regarding this that I'm preparing to share soon. Please look forward to its upcoming release. So far, I've explained how pirates are the only ones in a position to change the world. However, there's another organization attempting to do so: the Revolutionary Army. The Revolutionary Army, like pirates, is essentially a group of outlaws with no citizens to protect. Dragon keeps his children and his birth a secret even from his comrades because he knows that these could become his weaknesses. Dragon's statement that the battle will intensify if the Knights of the Gods move indicates that the conflict involving them is likely to start soon. During the Leveille, the Revolutionary Army successfully retrieved Kuma, but their main objective might have been to destroy the food storage in Mariajoie. This could be a key point in the upcoming battles. Currently, the Revolutionary Army is attacking the world government's supply ships, halting the delivery of supplies to Mariajoie. Additionally, the 7 countries that have achieved revolution, except for the vanished kingdom of Lucia, are refusing to pay tribute and export resources to the world government. Compounding this, the Marines are also immobilized due to the Cross Guild's marine hunting. To break this stalemate, the world government might have no choice but to deploy the Knights of God. Given their role in the ethnic cleansing at God Valley, it's expected they might be sent to crush the 7 countries, stopping the supply of resources to the government. This might have been the Revolutionary Army's true objective. Just like the Navy can't invade the isolated Wano Kuni due to its walls, if the Revolutionary Army were to attack Mariajoie, it would create a situation advantageous for the world government, who are positioned atop the walls. However, by dragging the world government's forces down from the walls, they can disperse their enemy's strength. This could provide an opening for the main forces of the Revolutionary Army to invade Mariajoie. Such a scenario could lead to the long-awaited confrontation between Sakazuki and Dragon in Mariajoie. Regarding Sakazuki, there's already speculation about his past connection with Dragon, both being 55 years old, and Sakazuki referring to Luffy as Dragon's son suggests they might have been peers or rivals in the Navy. And it's possible that Dragon lost faith in the Navy's justice due to Sakazuki's strong ideology that evil must be defeated, even if it means sacrificing many lives. Recently in One Piece, the pasts of Kuzan, Garp, Borsalino, and Sentomaru have been touched upon a bit. This suggests that we might soon see the pasts of Sakazuki and Dragon as well, and once their flashback concludes, it's possible that a battle between the two of them might begin. There's a line in chapter 1102 that I personally find significant. Please pay attention to this panel. Kuma was surprised that Luffy punched a celestial dragon, but there's another line that deserves more attention. It suggests that Luffy punching a celestial dragon to defend the fishman race has a profound meaning. In reality, the reason Miosgard was executed was not for his involvement in the attempted murder of Charlos, but because he defended the fishman race. The words of Who's Who that angered Jinbei, the history of the fishman is a history of slavery, might be connected to the yet unrevealed truths of the Void Century. This is because most slaves in the current times are humans. Probably during the Void Century or even before, races other than humans, like fishmen, were treated as slaves, similar to how the Tontata tribe was treated like slaves by the Don Quixote family until 900 years ago. The reason why the Mink tribe gets exhilarated by the full moon might also stem from a similar cause. And the fishmen, treated as slaves, had no choice but to relocate to Fishman Island. The content of Joyboy's apology to the mermaid princess is not yet revealed, but it likely involves the fishmen and mermaids being treated as slaves by humans. Or it might be a personal promise, like the one between Luffy and Shirahoshi. In addition, Joyboy made a promise to the entire fishman race. Do you remember what this is about? This involves the ship of promise Noah. Neptune mentioned that Noah is the ship of promise with Joyboy. He also said that Noah is a ship that has yet to fulfill its mission, indicating it will play a significant role in future storylines. However, many readers have a question. The point is that since fishmen can swim, it seems unnecessary for them to purposely move to the land using Noah. In fact, fishman children easily reach Sabaody Park. From this, I would like to discuss my theory regarding the role of Noah's Ark. The clue lies in the short letter that Lily left in Alabasta. Let's examine the contents of the letter from Lily that Cobra spoke about just before he was killed by Imu. We'll try to figure out some Japanese phrases that might fit in that part. The focus here is on this phrase. This expression is often used in poetry and story narration. Those who are knowledgeable about Japanese might know that this yuku is an archaic expression of the verb iku, meaning to go. And when yuku is used in an archaic manner, it is often connected to other verbs. When yuku is attached to a verb, it can express the state of becoming something. Let's look at some commonly used expressions in Japanese. A world falling apart, a sinking world, dying people. As you can see, this expression is often used in a negative context. So in this letter, what state of the world is Princess Lily urging the future kings of Alabasta to raise the flag of dawn in? Personally, I think inserting a sinking world here would make the sentence sound most natural to a native speaker. Moreover, after reading chapter 1089, this makes sense contextually. That's because the sea level around the world has indeed risen by 1 meter due to Imu's use of the mother flame. And many beaches around the world have disappeared, with some islands vanishing completely. Incidentally, the fact that Alabasta's royal palace stands on high ground may be because one of the previous kings who read Lily's letter was afraid of the world sinking. Alabasta is a desert country, where securing water is most vital for its people. Yet ironically, Lily foresaw a future where lives would be taken away by water. At this point, a theory comes to mind. The theory is that the world government is deliberately planning to submerge the world in a flood. The root reason for the royal families of the 20 kingdoms, which formed the world government, to ascend the Red Line might have been because they ultimately planned to cover the world with the sea. I think Lily, knowing this, may have betrayed the world government to stop their plan. But why would the world government want to sink the world in the sea? I think it's because they are trying to completely wipe out the countries associated with the Great Kingdom that they opposed. In fact, in One Piece, there are several locations that have sunk to the bottom of the sea, and it turns out that all of these places were involved with the Great Kingdom. Firstly, let's consider Water 7. As Frankie says, the city you see now is built on the remnants of the ancient civilization. A long time ago, the lower part of the city, which is submerged today, was part of the same island, along with the higher area where the shipyards are located. The shipbuilders who created Pluton back then probably had the knowledge of the advanced technology of the Great Kingdom, which allowed them to create a warship capable of destroying an entire island. Next, consider the undersea ruins depicted in Jinbei's cover story. Jinbei found a poneglyph here. The people who lived here might have been protecting this poneglyph, like the people of Shandia. Then there's the Golden City, Chandra. At first glance, Chandra seems to have been a regular, unsinkable island. But do you remember where the ancient city is located? It was below the ground level of Jaya. Kargara, having trusted Noland, decided to reveal the City of Gold to him. At that time, they descended the stairs to reach the ancient city. It felt strange that a thriving city was located underground, but if this is also a result of the world sinking, it makes sense. Finally, Impel Down. It is located in the middle of the Calm Belt, and countless sea kings reside around it. It seems impossible to construct such a building underwater, so it is natural to think that a facility that was originally on the ground has sunk underwater. Given the sun-like mark on the upper part of Impel Down and the ancient text drawn on the wall, similar to what is seen on poneglyphs, it can be assumed that it was a facility related to the Great Kingdom. It's also probable that this is where Who's Who first heard about the legend of Nika. All the places that are sunk at the bottom of the sea are seemingly associated with the Great Kingdom or facility. With the acquisition of Mother Flame, which is as powerful as the ancient weapons, isn't it possible that the world government is again advancing this plan? Incidentally, in chapter 1089, York made an uncertain promise to the 5 elders, offering them Mother Flame in exchange for her life, while also elevating herself to a celestial dragon. With the freedom to use Mother Flame attacks, the government could easily eliminate inconvenient nations. The earthquakes produced by these attacks, although their relevance is unclear, could possibly hasten the process of sinking the world into the sea. The flag of this world government might also be suggesting that it will bore a hole into the world. In any case, I believe there is definitely a connection between this massive hole and the rise in sea level. The giant hole in Eni's lobby is a prime example of this. That's because the sea level in the waters where Water 7 exists, which is located nearby, continues to rise. The entire world of One Piece might have been sinking for 800 years, perhaps even longer. In fact, there's a structure in the world of One Piece that bolsters this theory. Some of you might have thought of this already. Tequila Wolf. The purpose of this construction is still unclear, but it has been explained that it's being carried out by order of the Celestial Dragons since 700 years ago. If the goal of the world government is to sink the world into the ocean, it seems only natural to build a bridge in preparation for that time. Let's take another look at the flag of the world government. It's possible that the lines connecting the circles may hint at Tequila Wolf. Currently, in the world of One Piece, at least 2 large holes piercing through the sea have been confirmed. This means that in the future, due to attacks using the world government's Mother Flame, 3 more large holes might be created, leading to a scenario where the world sinks into the sea. If the world government has such a plan, then Noah could have been built with a sinking world in mind, similar to Tequila Wolf. While the fishmen can live underwater, their allies, possibly the D-Clan, cannot. The Ark might be intended to transport those who will fight for the fishmen and join them in battle against the world government, fulfilling Joyboy's promise to the fishmen. In my earlier explanation, I mentioned that pirates can act freely without being bound by their position, which is why Roger created the Great Pirate Era. This could also imply that in a world sinking into the sea, pirates who can fight on the sea will play a role in changing the world. In fact, Luffy, who cannot swim, says this: "The sea is for pirates to handle." Furthermore, there is another arc in the world of One Piece besides Noah. It's Maxim. Enel headed to the moon with the arc Maxim. Maxim was completed by Enel forcing Gonfal's subordinates to work like slaves. However, it's believed that the blueprints for Maxim were likely obtained from his homeland, the Sky Island of Burka. The title of this cover is "The Lunar City Named Burka, Flying to the Blue Star Due to a Shortage of Resources." This suggests that in the past, people from the moon came to the Blue Star in search of resources. The power circuit installed in Maxim was probably designed using the ancient lunar city of Birka's scientific technology, and it's natural to think that these blueprints were passed down to the Sky Island of Birka, which shares the same name. The Shimotsuki family also created a village named Shimotsuki in the East Blue, far away from Wano country. Coincidentally, their name also includes the word moon. The surname of the owner of this channel also contains moon. There are other indications that the lunar people might have come to the Blue Star. One such example is the calendar of the One Piece world. Did you know that there are 2 calendars in the One Piece world? In chapter 228, while Nami is reading Mont Blanc Norland's diary, she says, "Wow, a diary from 400 years ago. The year 1122 of the Sea Circle, June 21st, we set sail from the vibrant city of Villa." In Japanese, it's written as Kaien Reiki, where means the Sea Circle calendar. As I mentioned, there is another calendar in the One Piece world. Let's recall chapter 203, where Robin reads a false sentence from the poneglyph in front of Crocodile. Robin says in the original version, "Kahira ruled the kingdom of Alabasta until the year 239 of the 10 Reki. Then, in the year 260, the era of the Betine dynasty of Tamers began. 10 Reki means the sky calendar." So there are 2 calendars, the Sea Circle calendar and the sky calendar. The Sea Circle calendar was adopted 1522 years ago because Nami read the diary from 400 years ago in the Skypiea arc, and in that diary, the Sea Circle calendar is mentioned as being in the year 1122. On the other hand, Robin mentions the sky calendar. As you know, the Alabasta Palace was built about 4,000 years ago, so the history of Alabasta goes back at least 4,000 years. But what could have been used before the Sea Circle calendar was introduced 1522 years ago? It could have been the sky calendar. But what exactly does the Sea Circle calendar and the sky calendar mean? Why did it change? I believe perspective is important. The sky calendar could have been created by the people of the Blue Sea. We humans also create a calendar based on the cycle of the sun and the moon. The sun and the moon exist in the sky from our perspective. So, even in the world of One Piece, before the people of the Moon City, the people of the Blue Sea lived following the sky calendar. On the other hand, the Sea Circle calendar must have been created from the perspective of the people of the Moon City. They can see that the planet where Luffy and his friends live is round and blue. So I think that before 1,522 years ago, they landed on the blue planet and then deepened their friendship with the people in the Blue Sea. It is said that on the Sky Island of Birka, where Enel was born, gods were believed to exist on the moon. Probably, to the people of the blue planet at that time, the advanced technology of the lunar people appeared as if it were the work of gods. In fact, Yonji referred to the discovery of lineage factors as the realm of gods. It means that to those who cannot understand it, overly advanced scientific technology appears exactly like the work of gods. This suggests that the scientific advancement of a great kingdom could have been influenced by the import of lunar science and technology. While the energy source used in the Great Kingdom remains a mystery, electricity is believed to have been the primary energy source in the lunar cities. Indeed, Enel utilized electricity to restore the functions of the lunar city. Therefore, a significant reason for Enel proclaiming himself as a god is likely tied to his acquisition of the Goro Goro no Mi's power, granting him abilities akin to those historically attributed to gods. Enel's self-introduction in the original version goes like this. This is a solemn way of saying, I am a god. Kami means god. Nari is a copula used for solemn expressions, usually replaced by deshu in everyday speech. Those interested in this play on Japanese words can check my Patreon post. The word kaminari means thunder, implying a play on words between kaminari and kaminari. The 200 million volt Amaru closely resembles Luffy's Gear 4th form. The characteristic of turning entirely white is also a trait of Nika. Therefore, it's highly likely that the godly form he learned about in Burka was Nika. The emphasis on the moon when Nika first appeared also seems significant. Do you think there's a possibility of Enel reappearing in the story? Since his original goal was to return to the moon, I was personally skeptical about him returning to the Blue Star. However, I think there's a good chance he could reappear. In the One Piece magazine, released in September 2023, there were many hints about Enel's return. First off, the devil fruits of Enel and Perona, known for their funny faces, were featured. In fact, Perona appeared at Hachinosu to help Moria, so it seems her abilities will continue to play a role. Moreover, there was this provocative statement: characters who haven't appeared in the main story yet. Short-term focused cover page serials usually have an impact on the main storyline, so it can be said that these 3 characters will somehow be involved in the future story. If Enel does reappear, what kind of developments can we expect? Please share your thoughts on Enel's potential re-entry scenarios in the comments. How many of you are still watching this video to this point? I had a clear intention for asking this question in the previous video. It's because there's a topic I want to discuss exclusively with those of you who have watched up to this point. First, take a look at this comment. Many readers are becoming unable to thoroughly read a single chapter. One Piece often dedicates an entire chapter to battles or a continuous sequence, but even this seems too much for some people to handle. Many modern readers seek a faster pace in story development, tending to discard manga that progresses slowly. This trend might be influenced by recent trends in content. Yes, you're probably thinking of it now. Short videos like TikTok or YouTube Shorts. The same applies to manga. With the introduction of subscriptions and an increase in free manga, the time spent per manga has clearly decreased. What I'm trying to say is that long-running manga series like One Piece might become extinct in the future. In the past, it was common to buy specific magazines to read manga and then discuss those mangas with friends. This was one of the factors that led to One Piece's growth into a massive manga content. However, in recent years, with the enormous increase in content and the drastic expansion of choices available to readers, the popularity of manga is becoming more dispersed. This means that One Piece might be the last instance where so many people read the same manga for such a long time. This is one of the reasons why I created this channel. It's rare to find a work that allows for in-depth discussions incorporating multicultural knowledge about a single piece of content with people around the world. Although, in reality, there might not be many people that interested. Regardless, this is why I don't just make videos conveying the latest information or spoilers. There are plenty of other channels for that. I hope those who come to this channel can deeply share in the richness of One Piece's story, the realities of the manga world, and understand Oda-sensei's thoughts. For those who have watched up to this point, I'll show one more hint about how Enel is related to the sun god and end this video. Thank you.